Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. And surely God's goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. May Allah accept our fast, the last days of our fast. Welcome to Johnnie's Bite. Good morning. I trust you're fine this morning. Well, I want to first of all start and say congratulations to all the persons who won their internal elections. They just ended. Well, tomorrow, today as well, the elections will go on. I think sometime Sunday as well. Elections will go on. But for those who have been successful and victorious at the elections, congratulations to you. And a special shame on you to all those who went there to foment trouble. It's an internal contest, for God's sake. It wasn't your job, and it wasn't in the interest of your party and anybody else, the whole of Ghana, the democracy that we practice, to have engaged in that. And I hope that the apostles of those who say when you get an opportunity to speak on television, you should be whitewashing everything to the international press and to the international world, they will be the ones to come out to condemn this one as well, because it is a shame. The apostles of those who tell us that we should speak good about Ghana, which we do, but they refuse to hear and see, they should be the ones condemning this, because it is from within their ranks. So while I congratulate them, I want you to also speak up and condemn it, and not to say the violence was expected or is expected. It is a shame. Violence any day is a shame. It's an embarrassment. It must not be countenanced at all. The NPP party, if you look at the tenets of the NPP party and you read the constitution of the NPP party and you look at how the NPP party itself came to being, they were fighting a system that was seen to be dictatorial, that was seen to be violent and all of that. How is it that the NPP now, in today, is taking that posture? It is a shame. It must never ever happen. It is a big shame. And if you are looking at breaking the 8, congratulations again to those who won. I'm sure that your mantra going forward will be breaking the 8, breaking the 8. Well, I've told you up until now, it is breaking the 8, not the 8. Breaking the 8. That's what it is now. It's not breaking the 8. Until you're able to fix the very little things that Ghanaians are complaining about, it will be breaking the 8, not breaking the 8. So if you really want to break the 8, there's work to do. And it's not talk shop. It's not paper leadership. It's actual leadership. Scratch the people where they itch. And speaking of which, I chanced upon this from the 3FM 92.7. And they pull it up. Fuel prices, did you know, will go up by 3%? Yesterday I had a conversation with one of my guys at Shell, and he was indicating to me that theirs will go up today. Yesterday was Total or so. But whatever it is, by the 1st of May or by the weekend, you will see that fuel prices would have gone up by 3%. Now, the question that yesterday somebody threw to me was that when it comes to the reduction of the price of fuel, it is done in pesos. When it comes to the reduction of the price of fuel, we do it in pesos. When it comes to the increment of the price of fuel, we shoot it up so high. So the person was asking me why that problem is. I said, I don't know. The managers of the economy and those who are within the energy sector and those who handle our public purse and those who take the price stabilization levy and all of that will be the ones to be able to explain to me why these things happen. But you also do know that when fuel prices go up, it affects everything. It affects food, it affects transportation, it affects the livelihood of the ordinary Ghanaian. It affects every little thing. And once it affects every little thing, the government must be forthright with the people. CLOSAG is still on strike. UTAG went on strike. They've been asked to get back to the classroom. SITAG went on strike. They've been asked to get back to the classroom. TEU, they went on strike. They've been asked to get back to work. And all of this get back to work is ordered by the National Labour Commission. My question this morning for the National Labour Commission is that if I, for example, have an issue with Cookie, and we get into a meeting and we have an agreement of how to settle the matter, And 6 months down the line, 2 months down the line, 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, sometimes 4 years down the line, that agreement that I had with Cookie has not been achieved. And then we come to the table. It is your job to ask me or to ask Cookie why either of us have not fulfilled our part of the bargain. You don't often get the National Labour Commission asking that kind of question. Instead, they will tell the parties that have not been treated well to get back to work. Get back to work and do what exactly? And you see, the clock strike is hitting us so hard because they are the ones who make it work. They make the government machinery work. They are the ones who make the oil the wheels of government. So yes, we are asking them to go. They are also saying, yes, you have agreed to pay us the whatever allowance, neutrality allowance by October, but give us a roadmap. And it's only fair that you give them because what you agreed with UTAG and what necessitated them getting back into the classrooms, all the statesmen and everybody who spoke to them and told them to consider Ghana first and go back to the classroom are all quiet. Now that UTAG is not being given what was promised them, the schools and private institutions, the institutions are rather the ones fulfilling their part of the 50%. Government has shirked its responsibility to fulfill this 50% to UTAG. So next time when you ask them to go back to the classroom and the big boys and big girls in the country come to speak, do you think they will agree? No. And that is why yesterday I was amused because yesterday I was here. And then I'd gone on radio. I stepped out to go out to the mobile money guy in front of TV3, Danny, a very good friend. And we all go and chat with him sometimes. So I went to Danny to have a conversation with him. I was just standing by him because after, at some point, 2 customers came. So he was attending to them. And I was just standing by there. Pulls up. Then here comes a wine vehicle, a saloon car. 2 individuals in. One of them calls me. Signals me to come closer to me, identifies himself, and he is supposed to be an official appointed by President Akufo-Addo or under President Akufo-Addo, serving in a state institution. He signals me to come, and then he introduces himself, and then he calls me an idiot. Oh, yes, he did. I wouldn't say his name to glorify him because I don't glorify insults, but he signals me. I walk to him smiling, and then he calls me an idiot. Now, this same person with the sitting MP and another had sat on another network and actually insulted me. And that was where the sitting MP spoke about my lens and said that it is too dark and I'm wearing dark shades in the room. Well, it is not my fault if the MP doesn't understand what photochromic lens means. But this individual called me and then insulted me and called me an idiot. And then the next statement, which I've heard from many people, is that, well, if President Akufo-Addo were your father, would you be insulting him? So I asked him, what insult have I insulted President Akufo-Addo? Because if you promise children of Ghana that you're going to give them a warm cup of chocolate every day they go to school, and you have not given it to them 3-4 years down the line, I will ask you questions. And I will remind you. And reminding you is not insulting you. So I always dare them and ask them, tell me one single insult that I've put out there to any public official. Tell me one. Tell me one. I've seen a letter from a certain state institution quoting wrong data and attributing wrong facts to me. But tell me one. Just one. And they couldn't say, and he went on insulting, and they ran towards the Flagstaff House or the Jubilee House. I'm sure they were going there. And I'm sure that when they get in there, 2 of them were in the vehicle. I'm sure when they get in there, they will say, oh, my yenapa. Well, it's good. Because I remember as a boy, the President Akufo-Addo would come to my late uncle's home, Marcus Hughes, and they would have some whiskeys. They would eat food. I remember that as a boy, my father was driving in an official Nissan patrol vehicle, which was the V8s of the time in the 80s, with a flag in front of it, with a driver, an aide-de-camp with 2 stars and 1 crown on his shoulder, with a siren and a motorcade, with a number plate PS5. We're going to work. What that means was that he was number 5 in line of the institution where he was. And the schools that then we attended were Morning Star School, Roman Reed School, Englebert, around the cantonment area. So I am not one of those who suddenly came up as the riffraff and I had gone through all the corner places and now I am here. So I have a microphone and a camera and I'm calling for accountability. In my home, in my church, as my bishop taught to, I asked them the same critical question. I've been like this since 3FM started. And I can tell you that from the Mustafa Hamids to the John Boydus to the Ibrahim Ajays to the Adam Sabos to the Saka Salias to the Evron Hughes to all of them to the Fadi Dabosis, they all used to come to 3FM 92.7. We used to have what we called election zone 1 hour. We put the Mahama government on their toes. They were happy about that. They praised me. Today tables have turned. They are not happy. But I'm saying that back then, we used to take sandwiches to school. So I'm not one of those who suddenly has come out and wants to speak for somebody to give me something. No. If your reality is that you have been at some ekrasi and suddenly somebody saw you and picked you up as an appendage and today you are enjoying some money somewhere and so come what may, whatever before, the suffering of Ghanaians is not your purpose or your interest. That's fine. That's your reality. But don't print your reality on people. So I'm sure that when he got perhaps to the Jubilee House, he would have said, I said, fine, why me? But where is your scorecard? After all the borrowing and the elephant-sized government in your first term. Because each time you bring your scorecard, either Dr. Baumia, President Akufo-Addo, or whoever it is that brings it, it is heavily fact-checked, and it makes you coiling. Remember the situation about the airport at Cape Coast, the harbor at Cape Coast? You remember that? You remember the 170 promises that when we started Fix the Country, Dr. Baumia came to address and then he was fractured and he went back. Remember the recent address? So why hear me? But where are the textbooks for the children? More than 3 years after changing the curriculum, have you wondered what they are learning and what they are being taught and how they are being examined and checked whether or not they are qualified? Why hear me? That's cool. Why hear me? But can this government confidently talk about corruption in the same manner that it did in 2016? Who has been held or punished for corruption? Is it ABAJ? What? Who? Does that solve the mess of PDS, Ijapa, and the Sputnik Vic deal, the stinking Sputnik Vic deal, the airport deal, testing regime, $150? Why hear me? But has that solved it? Does that improve the strength of the cedi before the dollar, pound, and euro? Does that solve the problem of the high cost of living and the untoward hardship Ghanaians are complaining about on a daily basis? Why hear me? But does that solve the rampant fuel price hikes or the confusion of whether Doomsaw is back or not because our lights keep going on and off without our prior information? Why hear me? But how does that answer why the school feeding program owes contractors and why the expansion of the program is not happening, has been put on halt? Because that's not what Dr. Makutufo intended under President Kufuor. He wanted every child to go to school, to have a meal in places where they could not afford it, so that they will be encouraged to go and learn. They will be nutritionally fit to have a certain pedagogical approach indexed to their learning and teaching so that they will become good citizens, because the bedrock of every nation and every development is education and enlightenment. So why do you owe the caterers and why have you stopped the expansion of the project? And do you know, for example, that, yes, why hear me? But the quality of the meals that the children are taking is not the best? Why hear me? But how does that answer why, in spite of planting for food and jobs, planting for export and rural development, rearing for food and jobs, and all other investment in agriculture, food on in our market is so expensive, cutthroat, to the extent that the so-called net exporter of food, Ghana, as we're told by President Akufo-Addo, and you don't like me mentioning President Akufo-Addo, but I'll mention it because he was the one who told us in Parliament. He spoke to Parliament on the State of the Nation address that we are a net exporter of food. Today, we have banned the exportation of food twice. Why hear me? But how does that pay the rent allowance that you promise young people of this country? You promise that you pay their rent allowance. You promise that you pay their rent allowance to the point where they would have to pay back when they actually get employment. You also promised that you are going to make sure that they were going to use their national ID cards, their national ID cards, to be able to secure student loans, and that they will only pay after they have been employed, and that there will be no guarantor system. Why, but that's fine. So your job is to insult. Now they have moved from social media. They are on the streets with your fuel coupon, driving in cars and insulting people. Submission is now gathering people to insult people. Well, maybe it is not the president who is gathering them, but maybe they are doing it to catch the attention of the president's eye. I have said it and said it so many times that perhaps what happened to Sewa Broni at the hotel in Accra, the 5-star sleeper in Accra, breaking it into her room, and the robbery that she claims was foisted on her by state institution, no less than the national security, was done by elements who were trying to catch the eye of the president for appointments. Oh yes, there are people who are trying to catch the eye of the president for appointments because when it comes to worth, they don't have it. When it comes to dignity, they don't have it. When it comes to the gravitas, they don't have it. So, insult, attack, humiliate. But I've told you, no form of intimidation can bring me down. Me. No form of intimidation. Maybe you don't know. No form of intimidation can bring me down. And no matter what, once I know what I'm saying is right, and my conscience have told me it is right, you lie bad. I will ask you the questions. So long as you continue to take my taxes, I will ask you I won't insult you. I have not insulted anybody this morning. I've just asked you questions. Yes, why am I? But I've given you 12 questions to answer. Start work. Good morning.